The underwater cave was darker than anything Du had ever seen. His submarine moved slowly through the black water, and the only light came from his vessel's front lamps. He was 300 meters below the surface, near island, searching for something that should not exist. 2 weeks ago, fishermen had reported strange lights deep in the ocean, blue and green glows that moved like living things. The Korean government sent scientists to investigate, and Du was chosen to lead the mission. He was one of the best in the country, even though he had never studied actual alien life. His job was to study unusual organisms, and these lights were very unusual indeed. His radio crackled. Du, how deep are you now? It was his assistant calling from the research ship above. 300 meters, he replied. I can see the cave entrance. The lights are getting brighter. He guided his small submarine through a narrow opening in the rock. The passage was tight, and he had to move carefully. One wrong turn could trap him forever in this underwater tomb, but Du was not afraid. He was too curious to feel fear. The cave opened into a large chamber, and Du stopped breathing. The walls were covered with glowing organisms, thousands of them. They pulsed with soft blue light like stars had fallen into the ocean and decided to stay. They were attached to the rocks, moving gently with the water current. Du had seen bioluminescent creatures before, but nothing like this. These organisms glowed too bright. They moved too smoothly. They seemed almost intelligent. He activated his collection arm and carefully grabbed one of the creatures. It was soft, like a jellyfish, but it did not try to escape. It simply pulsed in his mechanical hand, as if it was waiting for something. Du returned to the surface with his sample. His team was waiting for him on the research ship. They transferred the organism to a laboratory tank and began their tests. The results made no sense. This is impossible, said Du, staring at his computer screen. The cellular structure is wrong. These cells are organized in ways I have never seen before. His assistant, a young woman named Hana, looked over his shoulder. What do you mean? Earth life uses certain patterns, all of it. From bacteria to humans, we all share basic building blocks. But this organism, he shook his head. It uses different blocks entirely. It should not be able to survive in our oceans. It should not be able to exist at all. Hana frowned. Are you saying it is not from Earth? Du did not answer. He ran more tests, carbon dating, genetic analysis, molecular examination. Each test brought stranger results than the last. The organism was old, very old. The carbon dating showed it was at least 200 million years old. That was before the dinosaurs ruled the Earth. That was before most complex life even existed. How could anything survive that long? Night fell and the research team went to sleep, but Du stayed in the laboratory, unable to look away from the organism in the tank. It continued to pulse with blue light, and he felt like it was watching him too. Then it changed. The organism began to stretch. It grew larger, pulling mass from somewhere Du could not understand. More organisms appeared in the tank, rising from the water as if they had been invisible before. They moved toward the first one and merged with it. 10 became 1, then 20, then 50. Du stood frozen as the combined creature took shape. It grew arms, legs, a head. It was becoming humanoid but not human. Its skin was silver blue, and its eyes were deep black pools that reflected the laboratory lights. Do not be afraid, said a voice inside Du's mind. It was not sound. It was thought placed directly into his brain. We have waited long to speak with your kind. Du's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. What are you? We are the oldest. We came to your world when it was young, when great reptiles had just begun to walk upon the land. We have hidden here ever since, watching, waiting, hopping. Hopping for what? The moved closer to the glass of its tank. Its black eyes seemed sad. We were running from a war, a great and terrible war that consumed half the galaxy. We thought Earth would be safe. We thought no one would find us here on this small world orbiting an ordinary star. Du's mind raced with questions, but one pushed to the front. Why are you showing yourself now? After 200 million years of hiding, why speak to me? Because they have found us. This voice in his mind carried deep fear. The hunters are coming. They detected our presence when your submarines disturbed our hiding place. We tried to stay hidden, but it is too late now. They know we are here. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the laboratory. Du heard shouting from above deck, and he ran to the window. The sky was on fire. Massive shapes descended through the clouds. They were spacecraft, dozens of them, larger than any building Du had ever seen. They moved in formation, surrounding the planet like a net closing around a fish. His radio exploded with noise. Every channel was filled with the same message, repeated in hundreds of languages. Du understood the Korean version perfectly. Attention, inhabitants of this world. You are harboring criminals of the Galactic Accord. You have one planetary rotation to surrender the Ancient Ones hiding among you. Failure to comply will result in severe consequences. Du turned back to The creature had pressed itself against the glass, its silver skin now pale with terror. What did you do? Du asked. What crime did you commit? We exist, the replied. That is our only crime. We exist, and we carry a secret so dangerous that entire civilizations have died to protect it or destroy it. The laboratory door burst open. A woman in military uniform entered, her hand on her weapon. She was tall and strong, with sharp eyes that quickly assessed the situation. Du recognized her from briefings. Bin, military liaison to the research program. We need to move, she said. The government is going into emergency session. Whatever that thing is, everyone wants it. She looked at with suspicion. Can it be transported? It is not a thing, Du said. It is intelligent. It has been living on Earth for 200 million years, and apparently half the galaxy wants it dead. Bin stared at for a long moment. Then she looked back at Du. Then we need to figure out why before we decide what to do with it. The spoke again, its voice filling both their minds. I can tell you why. I can tell you everything. But you must understand, once you know our secret, you cannot unknow it. And the forces hunting us will not care that you are innocent. They will destroy your entire world to bury the truth. Du looked at Bin. She looked back at him. Neither of them spoke, but they both understood. Whatever happened next would change everything. Tell us, Du said finally. Tell us your secret. The closed its dark eyes. Very well, but first you must understand what I am. I am not just old. I am not just a survivor. I am the beginning. I am where all life in this galaxy started, and that truth is what could shatter everything the galaxy believes. Outside, more ships continued to descend from the sky, and the world held its breath. The United Nations building in New York was surrounded by soldiers. Tanks blocked every street. Helicopters filled the sky. But none of that mattered because floating above the city was an alien warship the size of Manhattan itself. Ambassador stood at the podium, addressing the assembled world leaders. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms that moved constantly as he spoke. His translator device turned his words into every human language at once. Let me be clear, said. The Galactic Accord does not wish to harm your species. We have watched humanity for centuries. We find you interesting, even promising. But you are harboring criminals, and we cannot allow that to continue. The Secretary General of the United Nations stood up. You speak of criminals, but you have not told us what crime they committed. What did they do? 4 arms tightened. They stole something called the Genesis Code. It is the most dangerous knowledge in the universe, the secret of how to create life itself. Whispers spread through the assembly. World leaders turned to each other with worried eyes. They used this code to spread life across the galaxy, continued. They seeded thousands of worlds with organisms that eventually evolved into intelligent species, including many members of the Galactic Accord, but they had no right to do this. They played God with the universe, and they must answer for it. 3,000 kilometers away, in a secret facility beneath the mountains of Korea, Du watched the speech on a screen. Bin stood beside him, her arms crossed. Director Park one paced behind them, his face tight with worry. "They are lying," said The ancient creature had been moved to a secure containment room, but its voice still reached their minds clearly. "We did not steal the Genesis code. We are the Genesis code." Du turned to face the creature. "Explain, what does that mean?" There was quiet for a moment. Its silver skin flickered with patterns of light, like memories playing across its body. "Billions of years ago, we were the very first intelligent life to evolve in this galaxy. We emerged on a small world near the galactic center, and for millions of years, we were alone. We searched the stars and found nothing but empty rocks and dead planets." Bin moved closer, interested despite her suspicion. "So you created life on other worlds?" "We tried. We wanted company. We were lonely in ways you cannot imagine. So we studied our own biology, mapped every cell and molecule, and learned how to create new life. We seeded thousands of worlds with the building blocks of evolution. And then we waited." "How long?" asked Director Park. "Hundreds of millions of years. We watched as simple organisms became complex, as fish crawled onto land, as apes began to think. Eventually, new intelligent species emerged, dozens of them, then hundreds. We were happy. We were no longer alone." This voice became sad. "But the new species discovered what we had done. They found evidence of our seeding programs in their own genetic codes, and instead of gratitude, they felt anger, deep, burning anger." Du frowned. "Why, you gave them existence." "Exactly, we gave it to them. They did not earn it themselves. They were not natural. They were designed, created, like products in a factory." The shuddered. The younger species could not accept this. They wanted to believe they were self-made, that they had clawed their way to intelligence through their own effort. The truth destroyed their sense of identity. Bin began to understand. "So they attacked you. They united against us. Species that had been enemies for joined together with one purpose: erase every trace of us from the galaxy, pretend we never existed." "The Galactic Accord," Director Park whispered. "Yes, that is what they call themselves now. But in the beginning they were the hunters. They killed billions of my people. They burned They chased us across the galaxy until only a handful survived." The move to the window of its containment room, looking out at the mountain walls beyond. "I am the last, the final. I fled to Earth 200 million years ago because it was the one world I had not seeded. Life here evolved completely on its own, naturally, without any help from me." Du felt a chill run through him. "Wait, are you saying humanity was not created by you?" "Correct, you are natural, true natural life. You evolved without guidance, without design, without the Genesis code. You are proof that the universe creates intelligence on its own." Bin grabbed Du's arm. "That is why they want to destroy if this gets out, if the galaxy learns that natural evolution is possible. Then their whole reason for hatting us disappears." The finished. "They cannot accept that they killed billions of innocent beings for nothing. They cannot accept that natural and created life are equally valid, so they must silence the truth forever." An alarm blared through the facility. Director Park checked his tablet and went pale. "We have a problem. The Galactic Accord has given us 24 hours to surrender but our intelligence reports show Commander, their military leader, is not waiting. He has already sent infiltration teams to Earth." "Where?" Bin demanded. "Everywhere, every major military base, every government building, every scientific facility." Park looked at them with desperate eyes. "Including this one. They will breach our defenses within the hour." Bin immediately began issuing orders through her radio. Soldiers moved through the facility, preparing defenses. But everyone knew the truth. Human weapons were no match for alien technology. Du approached this containment room. You said you carry the Genesis code within you. What does that mean exactly? My body contains the complete blueprint for creating life. Every formula, every process, every secret. If the Accord captures me, they will dissect me and extract that knowledge. They will use it to control all life in the galaxy. They will decide which species exist and which do not. And if they kill you, the knowledge dies with me. The last link to the original truth is severed. They can rewrite history however they want. An explosion shook the facility. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered. They are here, Ben said grimly. She drew her weapon. We need to move now. Director Park stepped forward. There is an emergency tunnel. It leads to an underwater exit 3 kilometers away. You can take thee and escape. What about you? Du asked. Park smiled sadly. Someone needs to stay and slow them down. Someone needs to seal the doors behind you and make them fight for every meter. Sir, you will die. Maybe, but if that creature is telling the truth, this is bigger than one life. This is bigger than Earth. This is about everything. Park put his hand on Du's shoulder. You are a scientist. Find the truth. Spread it. Make sure they cannot bury it. More explosions. The sound of alien weapons screaming. Ben grabbed Du. We go now, no more discussion. They released the from its containment. The ancient creature moved with surprising speed, its silver body flowing like water. They ran through corridors as the facility fell apart around them. Behind them, Director Park sealed the main doors and faced the incoming soldiers alone. For Earth, he whispered, raising his weapon. Du heard the gunfire as he ran, then silence, then nothing. The tunnel was dark and wet. They moved quickly, guided by Ben's flashlight. The glowed faintly, providing extra light. Why did he do that? Du asked, his voice breaking. He barely knew us. He barely knew you. Why did he die for us? This voice was soft in his mind. This is why I chose Earth. Not because it was hidden. Not because it was safe. I chose Earth because I saw what humans would become. A species that sacrifices for strangers. That fights for what is right, even when it is hopeless. They emerged from the tunnel into open ocean. A small submarine was waiting, hidden among the rocks. They climbed inside and began to move. Above them, alien ships searched the water with powerful lights. But the submarine was small and quiet, and it slipped away into the darkness. Where do we go now? Ben asked. Du thought of Director Park. He thought of the truth they carried. He thought of everything at stake. We go to tell the world, he said. We go to spread the truth before they can bury it. The submarine disappeared into the deep, carrying the galaxy's oldest secret toward an uncertain future. They traveled through underground tunnels for 3 days. The network stretched across the entire Korean peninsula, built decades ago for emergencies exactly like this one. Safe houses waited at regular intervals, stocked with food, water, and communication equipment. Du had not slept more than a few hours at a time. Every moment he closed his eyes, he saw Director Park's face. He heard the gunfire. He felt the weight of a man's sacrifice pressing down on his chest. Ben kept them moving. She knew every tunnel, every exit, every hidden path. Her training had prepared her for impossible situations, and she treated this one with cold efficiency. But Du noticed her hands shook sometimes when she thought no one was watching. The moved silently between them. Its silver body had grown weaker since leaving the ocean, but it refused to rest. Tell me more, Du said during a brief stop. They sat in a small concrete room beneath an abandoned factory. Tell me everything about your history. The settled onto the floor, its form shifting slightly. What do you want to know? You said you seeded life across the galaxy. How exactly did that work? We identified worlds with the right conditions: stable temperatures, liquid water, the basic elements needed for organic chemistry. Then we released the Genesis code into their environments. And what is the Genesis code, really? There was silent for a moment. Patterns of light moved across its skin like memories coming alive. The Genesis code is not a thing. It is not a formula or a machine. It is information, pure information about how to arrange matter into living systems. We carried this information in our very cells. When we seeded a world, we left parts of ourselves behind, copies of our genetic structure, modified to fit each environment. Bin looked up from checking her weapons. So every species in the galaxy carries DNA. In a way, the original template came from us, but evolution took over after that. Each species became unique through billions of years of natural change. They are not copies of us. They are our children, grown into their own forms. Do thought about this, but the Galactic Accord species hate you for it. They do. When they discovered traces of genetics in their own bodies, they felt violated, used. They saw themselves as puppets designed by an ancient hand. That seems wrong, Du said carefully. You gave them the chance to exist. Without you, they would be nothing. This voice carried deep sadness. You think logically, but feelings do not follow logic. Imagine discovering that your entire species was created as an experiment, that your evolution was planned, that free will might be an illusion. Some species accepted this knowledge peacefully, but others could not. The ones who became the Galactic Accord. Yes, the most powerful species united in their hatred. They rewrote history, destroyed evidence, and hunted us to extinction. They told their people that they were evil, that we had enslaved the galaxy, that destroying us was justice. Bin finished checking her rifle and sat down beside them. And what about humanity? You said we evolved naturally. How is that possible if you were seeding worlds everywhere? The turned to face her directly. Its black eyes reflected her image like dark mirrors. When we fled the Great War, we were dying. We had no strength left for seeding. Earth was simply the first quiet place we found. A young world far from the galactic center where no one would think to look. So you came here to hide, not to create. Correct. We buried ourselves in the ocean and waited. We expected to die alone, the last of our kind. But then something wonderful happened. This voice brightened slightly. Life emerged on Earth without us, completely natural. Simple organisms appeared in the ancient seas. They evolved. They grew complex. They crawled onto land. They became dinosaurs, mammals, apes, humans. Du felt something stirring in his chest. Pride, maybe, or wonder. We watched for 200 million years, the continued. We watched your world develop intelligence through pure natural selection. No guidance, no design, no Genesis code, just the universe creating consciousness on its own. That is why we matter, Bin said slowly, understanding growing in her eyes. We are proof that created species are not special, that natural evolution works too. More than that, you are proof that they were never necessary. The universe does not need gods or designers. It creates life because that is what universes do. The Galactic Accord species could have evolved on their own, given enough time. Our seeding only accelerated the process. Du stood up and paced the small room. This is what they are afraid of. If the galaxy learns that natural evolution is possible, their whole story falls apart. They killed billions to prove they were self-made, but we prove that self-made life exists anyway. Yes, humanity destroys their excuse. You make their genocide meaningless. A radio on Bin's belt crackled. She listened for a moment, then her face hardened. Commander has made an announcement. He is giving Earth 24 hours to surrender If we do not comply, he will begin orbital bombardment of major cities. Du's blood went cold. He will kill millions of people. He will kill billions if needed. Does not care about human life. He only cares about burying the truth. The stood, its body flickering with agitation. I should surrender. I cannot let an entire world die because of me. No, Du said firmly. Director Park died to protect you. The truth you carry is worth more than one life, even worth more than billions of lives. Bin nodded. Du is right. If destroys humanity and captures you, nothing changes. He buries the truth and wins, but if we spread the truth first, then it does not matter what he does to us. The information survives. Du began to form a plan. His mind raced through possibilities, connections, solutions. Earth has communication technology, he said. We can broadcast to space. We have been sending radio signals for over a century. If we could amplify that signal, reach the whole galaxy at once. They could share its message with everyone, Bin finished. Every species would hear the truth at the same time, could not stop it. The light grew brighter. This could work, but we would need access to very powerful equipment, a broadcast strong enough to reach across light years. Bin was already on her radio, speaking quickly with contacts she trusted. After several minutes, she looked up with hope in her eyes. The Korean government has been talking secretly with other nations. Everyone agrees that surrendering you is wrong. They have been preparing a response, but they needed proof that the truth was worth protecting. And now they are ready to help. There is a military bunker with global broadcast capabilities. It was built for emergencies, designed to reach every satellite and antenna on Earth. If we can get there, we can use it. Du felt hope for the first time in days. How far? 200 kilometers, through hostile territory, with alien troops searching for us everywhere. Then we should start moving. The raised one silver hand. Wait, there is something you must understand. I am dying. Du and Bin both froze. My species was not meant to live this long. 200 million years of hiding has drained me. I have days left, perhaps only hours. We will make it in time, Du said, though uncertainty clouded his words. Perhaps, but even if we do not, you must continue. You must spread the truth even without me. Humanity's existence is proof enough. You do not need my testimony. You are the testimony. Bin checked her weapons one final time. Du gathered what supplies they had. The tunnel exit waited ahead, leading into darkness and danger. But beyond that darkness, somewhere, was the chance to change everything. Let us go, Du said. Let us show the galaxy what humanity is made of. They stepped into the night, 3 small figures against an empire of lies, carrying a truth that could shatter the stars. The world was at war, and humanity was losing. Alien ships filled the skies over every continent. Commander had grown tired of waiting. His forces descended upon Earth like a dark flood, landing in waves across major cities and military installations. They did not care about human surrender. They only cared about finding the. In Washington, soldiers fired missiles that bounced harmlessly off alien shields. In Beijing, tanks rolled forward only to be melted by energy weapons. In Moscow, jet fighters fell from the sky like burning leaves. But still humanity fought. Du watched the news reports on a small screen inside the bunker. They had made it after 3 days of running, hiding, and fighting through alien patrols. The bunker was deep underground, protected by meters of reinforced concrete and steel. Military technicians worked at rows of computers, preparing the broadcast system. Bin coordinated the defense. Soldiers arrived every hour from units across the country, volunteers who had abandoned their positions to protect this one location. They knew they were probably going to die. They came anyway. It was growing weaker. Its silver skin had faded to a dull gray. It could barely stand now, leaning against Du for support. But its mind was still sharp, and its voice in Du's thoughts was clear. Your people amaze me, they said. They know they cannot win. Their weapons are useless against Accord technology, yet they refuse to give up. That is what humans do, Du replied. We are stubborn. It is more than stubbornness. It is faith. Faith in something greater than survival. Faith that some things are worth dying for. A young soldier ran up to them. His face was barely old enough for military service, but his eyes carried the weight of someone much older. Sir, the broadcast system is ready. We can transmit to every satellite and antenna on Earth. From there, the signal will reach deep space, but it will take time to spread across the galaxy. Years, maybe decades. Du nodded. That is enough. Truth does not expire. It only needs to reach the right ears. The bunker shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Alarms began to sound. Bin's voice crackled over the speakers. They have found us. Alien forces are converging on our position. First wave will reach the surface in 10 minutes. Du helped toward the broadcast room. The ancient creature moved slowly, each step an effort. Its light flickered like a dying candle. I need to tell you something, the said. Before the broadcast, something important. Save your strength. Tell the galaxy instead. No, this is for you alone. The stopped and looked up at Du with its dark, ancient eyes. I have watched your species for 200 million years. I have seen you evolve from tiny mammals hiding from dinosaurs to the beings you are today. I have watched you discover fire, build cities, reach the stars. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand what I am about to say. In all my billions of years of existence, across all the thousands of species I have created or observed, I have never seen anything like humanity. Du felt his throat tighten. We are just one species among many. No, you are unique. The species I created are logical, efficient. They evolved under controlled conditions following patterns I designed, but you evolved in chaos. Your planet is violent. Your history is violent. You should have destroyed yourselves 100 times over. Maybe we still will. Perhaps, but you have not yet. Despite everything, you continue to hope, to love, to sacrifice, to reach for something better. This voice grew soft. I created thousands of species, Du, but the universe created you, and you are better than anything I ever made. An explosion rocked the bunker. The lights flickered. Screams echoed from distant corridors. They have breached the outer defenses, Bin reported. All units fall back to the broadcast room. We hold that position or we lose everything. Soldiers streamed past them, taking positions in the corridors. They set up barricades and pointed their weapons toward the advancing enemy. Du could hear alien footsteps now, the heavy thud of armored boots. He guided them into the broadcast room. Technicians made final adjustments to the equipment. A single chair waited in front of a camera, positioned to transmit to the entire world and beyond. Are you ready? Du asked. The settled into the chair. Its silver body seemed to gather strength, drawing on reserves Du had not known existed. I have waited 200 million years for this moment. I have carried this truth alone, hiding it, protecting it, wondering if anyone would ever hear it. They will hear it now. Yes, they looked at the camera. Turn it on. The technician nodded, broadcasting in 3, 2, 1. This voice filled Du's mind, but he knew it was also reaching beyond the bunker, beyond Earth, out into the endless dark of space. I am the last of my kind. For billions of years, my species created life across this galaxy. We seeded thousands of worlds with the building blocks of existence. Many of you carry our genetic signature. Many of you are our children. Gunfire erupted in the corridors. Energy weapons answered back. The battle for the bunker had begun. The Galactic Accord hunted us to extinction for what we did. They hated us for creating them. They wanted to believe they were self-made, products of pure natural evolution. They rewrote history to erase us. Bin's voice shouted orders. Soldiers fell, more took their places. The line held. But there is one truth they cannot erase. One proof that their genocide was meaningless, the species called humanity. The gestured toward the camera, indicating the world beyond. Humans evolved naturally. I did not create them. No one did. They emerged on their own through billions of years of natural selection on a violent, chaotic world. They are proof that the universe creates intelligence without help, proof that created and natural life are equally valid. An alien soldier burst through a doorway. Bin shot him down before he could fire. 2 more followed, then 10, then 20. The corridor became a slaughterhouse. I am dying. In moments I will be gone, but humanity will remain. They are my testimony. They are the evidence that cannot be destroyed. The turn to look directly at Dew. Its eyes were fatting, but they still held warmth. Humans of Earth, your existence matters. You matter. Not because you are powerful or advanced, but because you are natural. You are the universe's own children. Remember that, believe it, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. The transmission ended. The slumped in its chair, exhausted, but it was smiling. The bunker doors exploded inward. Commander stepped through the smoke, his armored form towering over the human defenders. His troops poured in behind him, overwhelming the last soldiers. Pointed his weapon at the, "It does not matter. I will destroy every copy of that broadcast. No one will ever know what you said." Do step between them. You are too late. The signal is already spreading. Every satellite, every antenna, every receiver on Earth has captured it, and it is broadcasting outward into space toward every corner of the galaxy. I will burn this planet to ash. I will destroy every device that recorded it. You cannot destroy truth, Du said. You can only delay it. Bin appeared beside him, her weapon aimed at. She was bleeding from several wounds, but her hands were steady. "You will have to go through us first," she said. Laughed, 2 humans against the might of the Galactic Accord. You cannot win. "Maybe not," Du said, "but we can make you work for it." The spoke one last time, its voice barely a whisper in Du's mind. "Thank you for everything." Then it went still. Raised his weapon to fire, but before he could, his communicator erupted with voices. Urgent, panicked voices speaking in alien languages. Something was happening, something big. And Du smiled, because he knew the broadcast was only the beginning of the plan. Commander froze as voices screamed through his communicator. His face changed from triumph to confusion to something that looked almost like fear. "What is happening?" he demanded. Du watched the alien commander carefully. While there was broadcasting, our scientists around the world were doing something else, something you did not expect. Grabbed Du by the collar and lifted him off the ground. "Tell me." The carried the Genesis code in its body, the complete blueprint for creating life. We that information, every genetic sequence, every biological formula, every secret. Du smiled despite the pain. And we send it into space. That is impossible. We were monitoring all Earth communications. You were monitoring our satellites, our radio transmitters, our official channels. Du pointed upward. But while you were distracted by the broadcast, scientists around the world launched thousands of small probes, modified rockets, weather balloons, even modified fireworks, each one carrying encrypted copies of the Genesis code. Dropped him and stared at the ceiling as if he could see through it to the sky beyond. By now, those packages are scattered across your own fleet. Some have already passed through your blockade. They are drifting into deep space, toward every direction, carrying the truth you tried to bury. I will find them. I will destroy them all. You cannot. There are too many, and each one carries instructions for finding the others, for copying the data, for spreading it further. Du stood up and faced the alien commander directly. You can kill us. You can burn this planet, but you cannot stop what is already in motion. Roared and raised his weapon. But before he could fire, another figure stepped into the broadcast room. Ambassador, his gray skin pale with shock. "Commander, stand down," ordered. "These creatures have. I know what they have done. I have been listening to the reports." His four arms hung loose at his sides, defeated. "It is over. The broadcast has reached our fleet. Our soldiers are questioning their orders. Some ships are refusing to continue the attack. Then we will arrest the traitors and—" "You do not understand." Stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "The broadcast has already spread beyond our fleet. Relay stations across the galaxy are picking it up. Species that have been loyal to the Accord are demanding answers. They want to know if it is true, if they were created, if they were real." Stood motionless, his weapon slowly lowered. "The Accord is falling apart," continued. "Everything we built, everything we believed, everything we did to suppress this truth, it was all for nothing." Du knelt beside this body. The ancient creature looked peaceful now, its silver skin fading to white. It had finally found rest after billions of years of hiding. "It was not for nothing," Du said quietly. "The wanted species to make their own choices, to find their own paths. Maybe now they finally can." Was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to his soldiers. "Lower your weapons, this fight is over." Started to protest but cut him off. "It is over, Commander. We have lost, not to these humans but to the truth, and that is a defeat we must accept." The alien soldiers slowly backed away. Bin kept her weapon raised until the last of them had retreated through the destroyed doors. In the silence that followed, Du became aware of sounds filtering in from outside. Cheering, crying, the noise of a world that had expected to die and suddenly found itself alive. Bin sat down heavily against a wall. Blood soaked her uniform and her face was pale. "Is it really over?" "I think so." Du looked at the one last time. "At least this part is over." 3 months later, Du stood on a platform in front of the United Nations building. The alien ships were gone from the sky, replaced by clouds and sunshine. Thousands of people filled the plaza below, watching him. Beside him stood representatives from 12 different alien species. Some had been members of the Galactic Accord. Others had been neutral, watching from the edges. All of them had come to Earth for this historic moment. "Today, we welcome humanity into the galactic community," announced. His voice carried across the plaza through translator systems. "Not as a minor species, not as subjects of the Accord, but as equals, as partners, as proof that the universe is more wonderful and complex than we ever imagined." Du stepped forward to speak. He had prepared remarks, but now he set them aside. 3 months ago, an ancient creature died in a bunker beneath Korea. They had carried a burden for billions of years, the truth of creation, the secret of life. It could have kept that secret forever. Instead, it chose to share it. He looked out at the crowd, at the mix of human and alien faces. "They asked us to keep one final secret. It asked us to remember it quietly, privately, without making a big display. But we talked about it, and we decided to refuse. Some truths are too important to hide." He gestured toward the sky. "Out there somewhere, thousands of small packages drift through space. They carry the Genesis code, the knowledge to create life. That knowledge is now free. Anyone can find it. Anyone can use it." The crowd murmured with uncertainty. "This terrifies some people. They think we have released something dangerous, something that should be controlled." Du shook his head. "But the trusted the universe. It believed that life, once created, would find its own way, would make its own choices, would become something beautiful." He stood. "Humanity evolved naturally on a violent, chaotic world. We had no guidance, no help. We made mistakes. We caused suffering. But we also created art, music, love, hope. We reached for the stars with our own hands. The saw this. It saw our potential, and in the end it gave us the greatest gift it had. Not just the Genesis code, not just the truth. It gave us trust. Trust that we would use these gifts wisely. Trust that we would spread hope instead of fear." He looked directly at the alien standing beside him. I do not know what the future holds. Maybe species will use the Genesis code to create wonderful new forms of life. Maybe they will make mistakes. Maybe conflicts will arise that we cannot imagine. But whatever happens, we will face it together. Created and natural, old and young, different but equal. Cheering erupted from the crowd. Humans and aliens applauded together, a sound that echoed across the plaza and around the world. Later that evening, Dew stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Ben joined him, her wounds healed but still leaving scars she would carry forever. "I heard you are leading the first expedition," she said, "going out to study life on other worlds. Someone has to carry on this work, not creating life but understanding it, documenting the beauty the universe has made. And I will be commanding Earth's new defense fleet," she smiled. "Someone has to make sure you scientists do not get into too much trouble out there." Dew laughed. It was the first real laugh he had managed since this all began. "Do you think it was worth it?" Ben asked quietly. "Director Park, the soldiers who died, all the suffering." Dew thought about its billions of years of loneliness, about its final moments, sharing truth with a galaxy that had tried to kill it. "The told me something near the end. It said that in all its existence, across all the species it had known, it had never seen anything like humanity." "What did it mean by that?" "I think it meant that we are not defined by our origins, not by who created us or how we evolved. We are defined by our choices, by what we do with our existence." He looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "We chose to protect a stranger, to fight for truth, to share knowledge instead of hoarding it. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us worthy of the stars." They stood together in silence, watching the universe unfold above them. Somewhere out there, this legacy drifted through the void, carrying hope to worlds they would never see. And on Earth, humanity looked upward with new eyes, ready to take its place among the stars. The galaxy's oldest secret was finally free, and the youngest species had set it free.